Hi, it's Gene, retired in Mexico, and we ask one question here, which is, do they write them and sing them like they used to? A lot of people, young and old, they think the old music is better, but I am not so sure. And today we're going to continue honoring some of the musicians who passed away this year. Now, yeah, these are older artists, but there would be no 21st century without these pioneers. I mean, each one of these guys made a huge impact on today. So I just want to honor them. And if you're watching this, thank you. This part one did not get a lot of views, but I think this is important. And if you're on board, thank you. So let's start with number one here on part two, which is Klaus Schulze, who was a founding member of Tangerine Dream, electronic pioneer. It's kind of interesting because Tangerine Dream's kind of lumped in as krautrock, but to me they're more ambient. They were kind of predecessors of Brian Eno, and then he went solo in the 1970s. Here's a clip from 1977. I've never seen this before. Let's just watch a little bit of it. It's so dark, spooky, dark, Halloweenish. Very influential keyboard player. So that gives you a good sample. Feel how dark that is? I mean, and Tangerine Dream was such a dark and moody band. I love them. So anyway, Klaus Schulze. Schulze was 74, and just as important, or nearly as important, in the German electronic scene was Manuel, excuse me, his name is pronounced, having trouble tonight, Manuel Gotching. And I had his album E2, E4. I think I still own it. It's a wonderful album. And he was a guitarist, so he did what Schulze did on keyboards, and they actually were both in Asherah Temple. So let's listen to just a little clip of him doing both keyboards and guitar. His music is very trance-like. Get a little taste of his picking here. And that, I never thought of this before, but I think he influenced Fred Frith, because it reminds me a lot of, and maybe Bill Frisell and those guys, because you get a little bit of that muted guitar with the jazz influence, but then it's also very avant-garde and very electronic, very cool. So Manuel Gotching, 70 years old. At 79, another electronic giant, Vangelis, and I love his. I first bought Heaven and Hell on vinyl. I remember that, And then later he did some things with John Anderson of Yes. And here I just want to play a little bit of the main theme from Blade Runner. This is so cool. Just love this music. Maybe we'll let the whole thing go, I don't know.
Hands 34 to 46.
I don't know, I'll probably get blocked if I let the whole thing go.
Pull back. Wait a minute. Go right. Stop.
So moody.
Enhance 5719. Track 45 left. Stop. Enhance 15 to 23.
This music was so cool. Vangelis, 79 years old. And speaking of Yes, the second drummer, well, maybe the third drummer, Alan White, he passed away this year. And, you know, he also played on John Lennon's Plastic Ono Band album and Imagine. So he played with George Harrison, and then he went on to join Yes. Here's a little bit of him doing a drum solo, but I got to see Alan White in concert with Yes. Pretty good as drum solos go. Very musical, isn't it? Yes, I got to see him in 1978. There's three people that died this year that I got to see in concert. One was Jerry Lee Lewis, which I already talked about on the first list, part one, and then I got to see Yes in 1978, and I think we'll save the next one for the next reaction. But Alan White, rest in peace. Now, he wasn't really drumming in the last few years. He was in ill health, and they had somebody else drumming for Yes, and then he would come on and just do one or two pieces. So I guess he's was failing for a while, but anyway, when I saw him, he was very vital. So the third person that passed away this year that I got to see in concert was Christine McVie with Fleetwood Mac, 1982. So here's a little bit of footage from that tour, just so I can reminisce. Yeah, they were great. So we'll play just a little bit, because I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of Fleetwood Mac footage. Clavinet.
You make me happy with the things you do. Oh, can it be so?
So not a lot that can be said to be added. There's been so much coverage of her passing away. But yeah, Christine McVie, Fleetwood Mac. So I will tell you, I think that's one of the three tightest rhythm sections I've ever seen in concert. Mick Fleetwood and John McVie, whew, man, those guys were in the pocket. And then, of course, it freed up the other three, so, yep. Now we'll talk about three people in the jazz world. So someone I just discovered this guy a few years ago, Gretchen Monker III. Awesome trombone player, and he made two really fantastic albums. But wait till you hear the trombone hit on this song. He was great. awesome. So he made a couple albums. They didn't sell well, and then he was kind of forgotten. There's not a lot of live footage of him. But man, he's got these two albums that I just love. They're among my favorite jazz albums. So Gretchen Monker III. Gretchen was 85, but on sax, Pharaoh Sanders passed away this year, and I did a tribute on him because he made an album with floating points just recently, just in the past few years. Still doing it right at the end of his life, 81 years old. Here's a clip of Pharaoh Sanders from 1968. He and John Coltrane were both on the Impulse label, and Sanders had a huge influence on John Coltrane to become more avant-garde. Yeah, the great Pharaoh Sanders. He was a giant, so rest in peace, Pharaoh. And then just 51 years old, the great organ player Joey De Francesco passed away. I never got to see him, but weirdly enough, I got to see his father in concert. He's also a keyboard player, and he has outlived his son. He's still alive. They're both residents of Phoenix, Arizona, and I saw his father up in Phoenix. So check out some of this wicked stuff. I mean, he's played with Miles Davis and Van Morrison, a bunch of people, so. He's so young. So one of those guys doesn't even look at his hands. Amazing. Anyway, such a wonderful keyboard player. Rest in peace, Joey De Francesco. And we'll close out with some blues artists. So I love the blues. I listen to a program on Sunday nights and try to keep in touch with the music from before I was born. But two brothers, Jimmy Johnson and Syl Johnson, even though they were 8 years apart in age, they died 6 days apart from each other. And this is Jimmy Johnson, and I found this video of him playing on his 91st birthday party. Check this out. He played with a bunch of people. I would say he's still got it, man. 91 years old, he's still tearing it up. I love it. So we'll find some footage here of his brother. Now Syl, who died at 85, he was a little bit more in the soul camp. I mean, he was a blues guitarist, but he crossed over into soul music. So here's a little bit of him playing live. And you can hear the difference. That's weird. That's not in sync at all.
loving me. Keep on loving me. Loving me. I'm just a man you see, taking care of the B.I.C. Long as you love me. Loving me. I only know how to treat you good.
So I don't know why that's not in sync. That's YouTube there. That's not me. So anyway, Syl Johnson, and we'll close out with one more blues artist and then wrap it up. And finally, a great, great drummer who he was recorded with Howlin' Wolf, songs like Shake for Me and The Red Rooster. And then he was in Muddy Waters Band in the early 60s. And then he did session work for Bob Dylan, and that same year joined the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. So he went from traditional blues with the Chess Records artists all the way to these, when blues became popular, white blues, if you will. And so let's check out just a little bit of his session work with Bob Dylan, because this is such a creative drum solo. And I'll only play a little bit because I know the Dylan blocks. Yeah, recognize that?
Oh, God said to Abraham, kill me a son. Abe said,
And that's all I dare play. But I mean, what a versatile drummer. Sam Lay passed away this year. And that's it for part 2. Take care. And as we say here in beautiful Bonita, Mexico, buen dia. If you like what we're doing, hit that like or subscribe button. Hit the notify bell.